Really excited to be here, excited to share my story, excited to share my testimony, and the fact that I'm even standing here is weird in the best way. So from the messages I've heard today from these great men, the first speaker, Andy, I felt he talked about identity. The second speaker, Rodney, I had to talk to you later, your basketball player. I felt like he spoke about resilience. Peter, I felt like he spoke about confidence. And my message will simply be about humility. Because the only reason I'm able to stand right here as a 40-year-old was because I finally learned that I had to deny myself to truly experience fulfillment in life. Okay, so my name is Tarrik Mabon. Deontay. My mom was extremely creative. I have $15 right here. If somebody can quickly spell my name correctly, I promise you, you will get my $15, man, and get some lunch. Can somebody spell Deontay? Wrong. All right, I only gave you one chance, right? It's capital D, apostrophe, capital O, lowercase NTA. What was she thinking? So this is what we'll do. I'm going to quickly share my story, and then I'm going to wrap it back. So you know how you watch those movies when they show the end at the beginning, and then it kind of goes back? That's what I'm going to do, a quick snapshot. So really quick, who am I? I am a broken man who is an elite mistake maker, but I'm simply here because of the grace of God, and I know that. All right, quick recap. I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. My mom was phenomenal, one of the best moms ever, single parent. I had a dad who had 5 kids, 5 moms, right? So he wasn't that present in my life, but he was a professional wrestler. Who would have thought, right? If you guys know, in Memphis, wrestling was we call it wrestling. It was a big thing back in the 80s, right? 70s and 80s. So I was baptized at the age of 6. I grew up in church. I was very blessed. Memphis is a big church-going city, right? So I knew who God was in an early age. Where I grew up, I saw prostitution. I saw gang violence. My godbrother was murdered when I was 11 years old, right in front of me after a basketball game, January of 1996. These are the things that I experienced growing up in Memphis. Like when I say I grew up in Memphis, I grew up in the dark side, the depths. But my mom did a great job keeping me balanced and threatening my life every day. If you do something stupid, it's over, right? So I knew better. 100% knew better. My mom did a great job of, my father wasn't as present as I think he should have been. So my mom had mentors. My mentors saved my life. So you guys that sow seeds into the future, you may not see it get planted or get watered, but just trust one day that seed you planted will manifest. Roy Soup Campbell, that's the man that saved my life. He was 39 years old when he moved to my neighborhood. He didn't introduce me to Christ. I knew Christ, but he taught me how to be a man. Because I was raised by women. I love my mom, my aunts, my great-grandmother. They were phenomenal. But there's nothing like having leadership and guidance from a man. And through Soup, his nickname was Soup, through him, he introduced me to another mentor, Jim Dixon. I met Jim, he was 29, I was 14. He's my mentor to this day. We met, 2 weeks later we played basketball, pickup basketball, he tore his ACL. He landed on my foot. So I think we'll be connected for the rest of our lives. I'm gonna do this really quick. Play high school basketball, didn't make the team, the varsity team fully until my senior year, ended up being the 6th man on the number 2 team in the state. The high school I played at, we're 9-time state champions. Like we are that team. And I had to sacrifice everything just to barely make the team. And when I finally made it, I was a 6th man, so I was really proud. Graduated, moved to Atlanta. I went to Morehouse College, like you said. Went there. When I graduated high school, this was me, this was God. Went on mission trips to Jamaica, to the Bahamas, not the sexy parts. I'm talking like the tough parts, right? Did mission work all over the country, right? I knew who Jesus, I was on fire for God. I wore a chain every day in high school that said ATM. ATM meant abstinence till marriage. I wasn't afraid, right? I'm a virgin, it's cool. I party, had fun, but people knew who I was. I wasn't perfect, let's be very clear, I wasn't perfect. But I truly felt like I had a mission in high school. And then I moved to the ATL, baby. And when I got to college, by the time I pledged my sophomore year, I partied really hard. And by the time I graduated college and got into the professional world, this was me. And this was God. Completely separated. Graduated, got a financial analyst job at CNN. Again, guys, I am from the hood in real life, not the fake. Like I'm talking about God kept me, but I saw everything. So to graduate from Morehouse, to be a financial analyst, that's huge in my neighborhood. But on top of that, I told you, when I was in college, I partied. So I was a financial analyst at CNN, but I also started my own entertainment business. I threw parties, right? Big parties. I started that at 22. So from 22 to 28, man, celebrities I did parties for, I hosted LeBron James, Drake, Janet Jackson, Nelly, all these guys. I'm in Atlanta. That's the Atlanta life. Diddy, even though I know saying that name now, it's kind of like, right? I get it. But he also hosted one of my parties at a club, though, not a private party. It was at a nightclub. So let's make that very clear. So that happened. And guys, during that time, in college, I met my wife. I met my wife when I was 19. She was 18. So that lifestyle I lived, all the celebrities, all the parties, you guys think I was a great boyfriend to my wife at the time? Do you guys think I was the absolute best to my lady? I wasn't. I was extremely insecure, immature. And the one word we're going to talk about today, I didn't learn this until later. I struggled with my ego. Okay? Best thing ever happened to me, a college buddy of mine approached me and said, hey, I got an AAU basketball program that I'm starting. Would you like to coach? I'm like, what? Of course. Basketball is my life. I didn't play in college, but Memphis is basketball. I know he said, Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, but now Memphis is basketball, all right? And so I started coaching these little 11-year-olds. And at the same time, the high school that I played for came to Atlanta and played in a Christmas tournament. I just went to support. And when I went there, I met one of my other frat brothers from another school who had started coaching high school basketball. And that's when my life changed. I'm throwing parties, the women, the music, the lights, 3,500 people in the club. I threw parties in Miami. I threw parties in DC. I'm the man. I'm 25. Those little 11-year-olds changed my entire life. And just like the grace of God that I'm standing here, also the grace of my wife, because she never left me. Now, I had to work hard to get her back, but she never left me. Okay? And so all that is going on, and then here's the game changer. All right? Again, I'm giving you the snapshot. I was 20. Honestly, I don't remember now. I don't remember if I was 25 or 26, but I had just gotten to coaching, right? I'm just getting it going. And I get a phone call from my high school basketball coach. It was understood that he wasn't feeling really well, and a lot of people thought he was dying, right? And then I had started looking for him. I just wanted to, hey, coach, love you, man. Praying for you, da-da-da, just simple as that. He had started hearing that I was looking for him, but he thought I was looking for him for another reason. So I idolized this man growing up. He's a 5-time state champion, did this thing. He's the reason why the team I played for, the school I played for, was the school in Tennessee. He calls me, hey, Tarrik, I heard you've been looking for me. I'm like, now, mind you, my girlfriend, who's my wife now, she was with me when this call happened. I literally used to talk about him all the time to my wife, to my friends, because we idolized him, right? And so I'm like, baby, this coach calling me. Put him on speakerphone. Long story short, he talks. A long time ago, me and your mom made mistakes, da-da-da. I'm your dad. Yeah, they'll do something to you, huh? So this whole time, I'm thinking my father is a professional wrestler, da-da-da, not that present. And the whole time, I played for my father. I idolized my father. A Hall of Fame coach was my father. And I had just started coaching. Tell me God won't wake you up. Come on now. So now, this happens. Obviously, there was a lot of stuff that happened from that, all types of crazy, but we're going to push forward, and I'm going to get back to that. Going to push forward. So that happened. That changed my life, right? Things started to clear up. The way I walk, the way I talk, the way I look, everything was like, oh, snap. This all makes sense. My sister is 1 month older than me. I went to school with my sister from kindergarten all the way to senior year in high school, not knowing she was my sister, her not knowing I was her brother. What in the world would have happened if we would have started dating? Anyway, so 2013, me and my wife, we get married, right? July 2nd, 2013, I decided to walk away from my company, my business. I decided to walk away from CNN, and I decided to pursue coaching basketball. God told me, this is my plan for you. So I walked away from all the money, all the fake fame or whatever, and I went 2 years without a full-time job. I knew God had something for me. I did not know what it was, but I knew he had something for me. So here we go. I started coaching. I was an assistant coach at 3 schools, ended up being the head coach of my school, Mount Vernon in Atlanta. 7 years later, we go to the Sweet 16, Final Four. Last year, we won the state championship. Check this out. Win the state championship March 9th, 2024. 3 weeks later, me and my wife were watching the Elite Eight. Y'all know today is March 1st, right? You know what March is, right? March what? You better believe it. So we're watching the Elite Eight, and I'm looking at the head coaches, Nate Oates, Kevin Keats, Danny Hurley. They all coached high school basketball first before they became college coaches. I looked at my wife and I said, baby, what would you do if I got a call to coach somewhere, but we have to move? Would you ever consider it? And she goes, yeah, if it makes sense. And I go, okay, cool. This is how God works, man. I'm telling you. I said that on a Sunday. 2 days later, the head of school at the First Academy calls me. Hey, I'm, Dr. Whitaker, Coach Mabon, blah, 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 blah. Again, I grabbed my wife, put on speakerphone. Babe, you're not going to believe this. This is 2 days later now. Blah, 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 blah. Now I'm the head coach in Orlando, Florida at the First Academy. Boom, that's a snapshot. You got it? Yay, cool. All right. Now, with that being said, the message is deeper dependence on God. Keep the main thing the main thing. These are 3 things I want you to write down if you can remember. Humility over ego. Humility over ego. Ego is edging God out. Now, all the mistakes I made in my life, God told me, I let you throw those parties. I let you meet those cool people. But during that whole time, guys, I struggled with a little bit of depression because I knew who I was, and I knew I wasn't living right. But God allowed me to experience that so I can use the game of basketball as a platform to lead people to Christ. That's my only mission. I didn't know that at the time, right? So about 3 or 4 years ago, I was struggling in my career because I still wasn't the man God wanted me to be. I still struggled with a lot of things that people didn't see behind closed doors. I wasn't real. Even though I walked away from all the parties and while I'm coaching, I still wasn't right here. I was still struggling privately with my ego. And because of that, I wasn't a good husband. I wasn't a good father. I wasn't even a good coach because I was still struggling with my ego. So James 4:10 says, humble yourselves before the Lord and he will exalt you. Romans 12:2 says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Guess what? You cannot do any of that if you're not humble. Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 through 27, live a life built on rock and not on sand. These are things, I was on sand, guys. I read the Bible, but I was on sand. In my private time, right, I was hurting my wife. I wasn't being the husband I was supposed to be. And because of that, God would not allow me to succeed. Now, we talked about sowing seeds, right? Soup, Jim Dixon, all these guys, they did 3 things. They surrendered. They were obedient and they were faithful. All right, what does surrender looks like? Luke 9:23, deny yourself daily. As men, that's what we have to do. What does obedience look like? Acts 9:6, get up, go, and you'll be told. God told me to move to Orlando, get up and go. God told me to walk away from my job, get up and go. If I didn't do those things, I may not be married right now, may not have kids, I may not even be alive, right? You cannot experience supernatural growth with God if you don't obey. The last thing is faithfulness. It has to mean something to you. When I coach basketball, guys, I always say, you got to dive on the floor for the loose ball, man. It got to mean something to you. You got to box out. It got to mean something to you. And God says, you got to be faithful, man. Your relationship with me, it has to mean something to you. Because if it doesn't, you won't be the man that I called for you to be. Now, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the what? I have kept the faith. I have a question for you, for all of us. What are you missing out in life because you won't obey? What are you missing out right now in your life because you won't obey? I see a lot of great men in here, but I know one thing, none of us are perfect. We got good jobs, beautiful wives, great families, kids, all of that, but we're not perfect, right? I really challenge you all, look at yourself in the mirror and think about your ego. Are you edging God out? Do you probably think you're the man? Do you struggle with your pride, with your children, with your wife, with your coworkers? Whatever it is you do, check your ego. I truly feel that some of God's greatest blessings are on the other side of humility over ego and absence of arrogance. Absence of arrogance. These are the things that happen with my ego. It almost cost my family, almost led me to depression. It kept my coaching career very average, kept me deprived, and I was insecure with my testimony because I felt like a fraud. In my basketball program, we say 4 things: accept responsibility, reject passivity, lead courageously, and as a result, expect God's greater reward. When I started learning how to check my ego, this is what happened. My marriage was restored. My testimony was illuminated and strengthened. I'm standing right here talking to you all right now simply because I fight every day to fight my ego. That's the only reason I'm up here, no other reason. My career elevated. I went from being a very average coach to Sweet 16, Final Four, state champion in Georgia. Head coach of one of the best private schools in the country, the First Academy. Guys, I know I'm nobody. I'm gonna tell you that right now, I know that. I know I'm only here because of God speaking through me. That's what I know. I gained better control and understanding of my addictions, my bad habits. We all have bad habits. We all have addictions. Whether it's money, lust, power, whatever it is, we all got our stuff. If I wasn't humble, I would still be having my stuff. I fight every day to not dive back into my addictions and bad habits. And guess what? I'm not afraid to tell my wife. My wife knows that, and my wife celebrates my fight against my addictions every day because we are here now. I couldn't be here if I kept edging God out with my ego. I'm an overall better dad, husband, teacher, and coach. But I know I'm fighting every day. Let's be very clear. I'm not saying I'm the man now. I got life figured out. Last night I told my wife, hey, I'm not perfect, but man, I'm really enjoying this fight every day. She has to check in. Are you good, baby? I'm like, I'm good. It ain't easy, but I'm good. I really am. Now, we lost in the region semifinals by 2. So I'm not good because the state championship game is today. You know, I'm glad I'm here, but, you know, I would rather be playing for state championship. Now, with that being said, I want to leave you with this. This is me being intentional with my spiritual growth. And I talk to my kids. With my basketball program, our theme is do more. Our theme is for his glory. And our theme is humility over ego, right? We talk about James 4:10 all the time. But what I tell them is that this is something personally that I learned. I can't just read the Bible. I have to read the Bible and I have to read books that are practical to me. So I want to share with you some of the sources that I read that has helped me along the way. It's a book called Every Man, God's Man. That's my first source. My second source, Disciplines, I'm reading this right now, Disciplines of a Godly Man. My third source, Relentless Empathy. My fourth source, Quest for Authentic Manhood. I got my 4 principles of self-responsibility, reject passivity. I got those from that book. I went to this class and read this book in 2012 when I was still struggling to be the man I wanted to be before I got married to my wife. And the last one is humility. by the late, great Pat Williams, the founder of the Orlando Magic. His grandson is actually on my team. I'm about to walk away and be done in 15 seconds, but guys, listen to me. I would not be here if I did not learn how to exercise and practice my humility. My humility took me from being an insecure man to a whatever state champion, but he's allowed me to have a job that I do every day while I sow seeds daily into our youth. And I praise God for that every single day. The number one thing is being a better husband to my wife, because that is the ultimate greatest testimony. Thank you all. Love you all.